My name is Nicolette Mason. It is an honor and a privilege to be here at the Dare to Love Yourself virtual summit today. And I'm being joined by Katie Sturino, the founder of Mega Babe, and Beatrice Dixon, the founder of Honey Pot. Unfortunately, Chastity Garner could not be with us today. We wish her well and hope she feels better soon. But I am so excited to have this conversation with Katie and Beatrice. We're going to be talking all about the importance of body diversity and inclusivity in brands and marketing and our world in general, and how we can empower and elevate people of all kinds of experiences to be included in these conversations around body confidence, body awareness, our health and autonomy over our bodies. And I am thrilled to allow Katie and Beatrice to introduce themselves as well. A little background on me. I am a writer, influencer, thought leader in the body positivity and inclusivity at large space. So I am really, really passionate about creating more inclusive environments, especially in fashion and beauty, that are included to people no matter their body type, their racial background, their ethnicity, their gender, sexual orientation, religion, or physical ability. And it's really, really important to me to promote a culture of inclusivity and diversity in everything that I do. And Katie and Beatrice, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Beatrice, go ahead.
Thank you, Katie. It's so good to meet you, by the way.
I know.
Oh my gosh. So I am Beatrice Dixon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Honey Pot Company. At the Honey Pot Company, we make products for humans with vaginas. And the best thing about them is that they are made by humans with vaginas. So
I'm Katie Sturino. I'm the founder of Mega Babe. We make products that make people more comfortable, like thigh chafe sticks and boob sweat spray. We're your neighbors at Target, Honey Pot.
yes.
And I'm also an influencer, and I'm part of the body positivity movement as well. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Isn't it weird? Like, it's still so fucking weird. And somebody's like, introduce yourself. And even though I do this all day, I'm like, so what do I say?
Don't know.
You know?
I still don't know. Nicolette, your intro is beautiful. And I'm still like, oh, I make a thigh chafe stick. And
right.
I'm also
I'm always like, so.
Did I say anything about me? I didn't tell anyone that I'm a Taurus. I didn't say that I'm Park City, which feels
I'm a Scorpio. Right.
But I am really excited to have this conversation with you guys, not only because I think it's super important to talk about body diversity and inclusion and racial inclusion, especially in eating disorder spaces, but because I also think you're both just such incredible pioneers and business women, business people. And I'm a customer of both your brands. Hopefully you know that, Katie. I know that you do, because whenever I place an order, I get a message. Beatrice, I've been using your period products for the last few months. I'm a big fan. I love that they're pleasing. But what I really, really love is that you are both working in spaces that are totally normal to our bodies and that relate to functions that are really innate to human bodies, but that are stigmatized. And it's a big question mark. Like, why are these things that are so normal marketed as things that are not normal? Like, we all have bodies that do different things, and being able to talk about it, destigmatize it, release some of the shame is so essential. So I'd love to hear from both of you why it was important to get involved in these spaces and create the products and conversations that you are doing.
One of my movements in life is to help people understand that whether your body is a size 0 or your body is a size 40, it's gorgeous and it's normal. You know what I mean? All of these are absolutely beautiful pieces of earthling life. And it's just a fantastic, it's I'm not going to say, because I understand, I've been there. I know what it's like to live in that space, to not love myself. I've been there, right? But being on the other side of the grass, not to say that I never go back to that side of the grass, because I do, right? It just gives me so much assurance to know that anything that's taboo in our world, it's literally just due to human conditioning,
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I could not agree with that more. And it's part of why sometimes I feel like it's so radical to just exist in our bodies and to take ownership of them. But it also shouldn't be radical, because it is the most normal, innate thing. And it is radical because of this socialization and conditioning.
Yeah.
And that's essentially the same thing with, I mean, the thing about Mega Babe is that I just wanted to help people with thigh chafe, and speaking to industry leaders, retail, beauty writers, that whole world before I was launching, and even as I was launching, it was seen as like, I hate this term, a niche problem. And niche is something that I don't understand what they don't understand about the definition of niche. Niche is small, right? It's like you're catering to a small group of people.
Right.
But the majority of people have these types of issues. And that's just something that, just like you said, it's the conditioning and it's the socialization, and being taught that these things are not normal. And what is normal is to be a 6 foot tall model with a 2 foot gap between your legs. And that is normal. And that's what you should be working towards. And if you're not, you're failing.
Yeah, that shit's weird.
Yeah. My favorite analogies I've ever heard around like body diversity and eating disorder awareness and body neutrality was thinking about dogs and how dogs come in all different shapes and sizes, and all they want to do is love you and be loved back.
Yeah.
And
they can have some food.
Yeah, exactly. Nourish themselves, take care of their basic needs and functions, and love you and each other. And nobody cares if they're getting love from a bulldog or a whippet or a greyhound or a pug, and they all have very different shapes and sizes. But I really love that, thinking back to nature and trees and how there is so much diversity in nature, and it's something we love and celebrate, but then we don't necessarily extend that same love and celebration to humankind. And I also really love the nature analogy, because both of you, this wasn't even a conscious link. It's not part of the conversation that I planned, but you both are creating products that are better for the environment too, and thinking about clean ingredients and what goes into product packaging. And I really, really appreciate that. And appreciate, Katie, that you use clean ingredients in your body care products. Beatrice, that the packaging is plant-based for the tampons. Like it does all relate back. And I think kind of loving ourselves and loving our planet work together.
It's all the same. Yeah,
absolutely. So why is it important to you guys to include body diversity in the conversation around eating disorders and awareness?
Because I think that people have I feel like people have one idea of what that looks like, when in actuality, it affects so many different people of all shapes and sizes, and it's not outward facing in the way that you think it's going to look.
I think it's really important that we have these kinds of conversations and help people to understand that, like, just because I'm a thick woman, I'm healthy, right? I wear a size, I don't even know what size I wear anymore, but I used to not really be comfortable with how I looked. And then I was like, wait, but this is my body. This is mine. I want all of this. you know, because I used to be one of those people that would say, oh, I'm gonna chill out here. I'm only gonna eat this. I'm only gonna eat that. Right. And then I had to really come at myself, like, why am I really doing that? Is that really what I want to be doing? Or do I want to do what I want to do? Right. I just think that it's important for us to love who we are without any condition, you know, and for us to be aware of when we're not doing that and how it shows up so that we can pay attention and get back to loving ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you touched on a couple of things just now that I think are really important to acknowledge and unpack a little. And that is how sometimes body positivity and body diversity get conflated with a version of wellness that I think is really a masked way of presenting eating disorders and very disordered behaviors. And that leads into another thing that I was thinking about, which for me in my history of body image and body dysmorphia and my history with eating disorders, a lot of very disordered behavior that I was engaging with and really harmful behavior that I was engaging with was enabled by people around me, including medical professionals, because as part of this health, quote unquote, journey. And that losing weight by any means necessary, even if that meant that I had a really significant eating disorder, was preferable to being healthy in my current body. And that was such a toxic thing to have imposed onto me, but also then really, really affected my ability to recognize that what I was engaging with was an eating disorder and it was really harmful behavior. Mm-hmm. Everyone else was telling me, keep up the good work. You're doing great. This is what you need to be doing, whatever it is, it's working for you. And it's part of why it's so important for me to remind others not to comment on people's bodies, not to project your own feelings on people's bodies. We have no idea what people are going through, what they're battling, what might be affecting any changes in their bodies. And it is just so harmful on so many levels to perpetuate any of those behaviors. I think we're even seeing it right now in a different way in some of the conversations around Chadwick Boseman and how heartbreaking it is to realize that he was going through this battle in silence, and not that cancer and eating disorders are the same at all, but we just never know what people are going through. And a few months ago when people were making fun of him for being so thin, not realizing that he was terminally ill. And I've had friends who have navigated similar things where they were going through really significant health traumas and issues, and people were commending them on their weight loss, and how that reinforcement then put them in a very disordered mindset with their body and with their relationship to food and eating. And it's definitely part of why I think these conversations are so important and why it is really essential to unpack the stereotypes of who is a person that looks like they have an eating disorder, or that there is a look to anorexia or bulimia, or that someone who is larger must be a binge eater, and how these experiences really exist on such a spectrum, and being able to remove any of these associations with particular body types are a really important piece of not just healing eating disorders, but healing our culture and relationship to bodies in general.
Right.
I've been talking recently about, because there's been so much talk about Kelly Osbourne and Adele, and this is not new. Whenever someone loses or gains weight, it's always headline news. And I really started to pay attention this summer, and I'm seeing that it's not just in gossip magazines. We're talking like major morning show, CNN, like weight, with all the underlying thread of of reinforcement and positivity, without ever I think that and Rebel Wilson right now, she's talking about, hey, this was like my year of health and this is what I'm working on. And I'm trying to communicate with people that it's totally cool to reach for health in a way that like gets you to where you want to be to feel healthy, but without bringing in this conversation around size, weight loss. Maybe you need to gain weight to be healthy. There's just like people are missing the point.
Exactly. Because that shit is weird. Why the fuck are we talking about their weight loss on national fucking TV? That's fucking weird. Like, and it's none of your fucking business. Let's go there. B, A, it's weird. B, it's none of anybody's business. Yeah. And, and eating disorders are not just anorexia and bulimia, right? Seriously, any size body is beautiful. I'm a healthy person, but my thighs still rub together, bitch. I got a goddamn under titty rash in this moment. You understand what I'm saying?
Why don't you have bust dust? Is my main.
Bitch, I'm going to get some. I just forgot. I've been busy.
We want to pivot a little bit, but how can we get brands to move away from exclusionary marketing that instead of saying, yes, all bodies are normal versus this hyper idealized one type of body that a lot of brands market with. And why is it important to do that? I think we've been talking about that the whole time, but like, Katie, you've done a great job about calling out brands that have been exclusionary in the past. Beatrice, I think the entire creation of your brand and you existing as a co-founder of your brand is evidence to that too. But
I just think that brands don't, I think quite often the people in the room making the decisions about the campaigns and how they're marketing things all may look one way and there's just no diversity in the conversation. And sometimes it's not even, they're just not aware of what they're doing or leaving out or the messages that they're conveying to people by leaving so many different groups out of their marketing. I don't know. I mean, that is why I'm just trying to talk to brands who typically are catering to thin white women to like let them know that they need to open the door a little bit more if they want to be successful in 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that is the case because I feel like more people are putting their dollars behind brands that they believe in. I think that that's the case. Do you think that that's the case in like in the rest of the world of the United States, or do you think that that's just our corner of the internet? Sometimes I wonder.
I think it's a couple of things. I think that there is definitely becoming more of an imperative for brands to be inclusive in their marketing and be inclusive in their casting. But what you said at the beginning was that it's usually a reflection of those companies themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So if the only people in leadership positions are thin white women, or more often white men, how are we creating images that they're not consistent with the makeup of that company internally? And that is something I think we saw a lot with the Pull Up for Change movement that came out of some of the BLM conversations in June, and people saying like, okay, you want to market inclusivity, your imagery is so diverse and you include all types of people, but show us what your boardroom looks like. And it doesn't look the same. And so I think that is another call to action that is happening now. It's not just that they can market inclusivity, which yes, is really, really important. Those images should reflect the world around us, but how do we keep brands accountable to put that diversity in action in their workplace and in their organizations as well?
Don't just show up to the ball game trying to be diverse and inclusive and have, equity and all those things in your company. If you're just trying to do it because you want to make some money, right? And that's happening a lot right now, right?
Yeah, I think that's why I'm a little skeptical of some of the diversity and inclusion that only happens in marketing. But
exactly.
not really walking the walk in other ways. And why I hope brands are paying attention to what you are both doing, because you don't have to market body diversity because it's an innate part of your companies, and it's also an innate part of you as individuals. And it is natural to how you would then run a business. You don't have to say like, oh, what is the trend happening in marketing, and what kind of casting is going to reflect this trend of this moment, because you're actually part of the movement.
Right.
You're part of a movement that is about amplifying and empowering people of all kinds, not just one ideal or what is just trending right now. And I think that your success, both of you, is really a testament to that. And the fact that it's not just cashing in on a moment, it's something that you believe in. Yeah. So what are some things that you hope other people learn or take away from your experiences as founders, as public figures, as people operating in the world that really are living the truth of body positivity and empowerment?
I think that, and one thing I used to very much do is put myself in a compare snare and find strangers on the internet that I would compare my life to and compare my body to and compare lots of things to, and just find ways to make myself feel bad without knowing anything about who or what these people's actual lives are like, which is a real thing that happens. And I think the other thing is that you have the ability now to find people who are positive, who do believe in the things that you do, and who can reflect those feelings back to you and keep you in a cycle of positivity, which is really what I feel like my Instagram, like if you make me feel funny and in my feed, like I unfollow you.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Right. So you have the ability to create that world for yourself now. And I think that that's really special, and that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful and inspirational note to end on. Thank you both, Katie and Beatrice, so much for being part of this conversation. And I do hope people walk away loving themselves a little bit more and taking that love and sharing it with the people around them too, the world around them. So thank you all so much for joining and being here today.